to Canal Days video series where history comes to life for everyone. Today's episode we explore the Perpetual Help Church of Holyoke, Massachusetts. I'm your host Carrie, alongside my co-host and your personal tour guide, Robert Komu, founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, as he leads you on captivating journeys through the Connecticut River Valley's historic sites and landmarks. Perfect for families, educators, history enthusiasts, and tourists alike. Step back in time as we uncover the stories that shaped the iconic state of Massachusetts and the pivotal stepping stones for America today. Ranging from historically lingering landmarks, landscapes, and ancient artifacts to engaging stories and narratives on the pivotal pioneers, there's something for everyone to enjoy and learn from. Visit HolyokeCanalTour.org for our podcast and video series, Robert's tour schedule, and to book your own private tours. Explore in-depth information about the historic locations we visit and make your plans to experience history firsthand.
So we're going to go around the block that was around the old Perpetual Help Church. This is the second edition that came up here in 1925. This is the 100th year anniversary of coming up here. I believe February 2nd they came up for their first mass. And there was a school. The school was on the grounds right in front of us. And then the church was in the middle piece, and the rectory in the far piece to the left, and the convent in the far back. And you can still see remnants. The wall is still here, steps. These metallic pieces what held the wrought iron fence. You can see two pillars for a gate back there. And I think the limestone rocks back there was the foundation for the school itself. All was taken down when this building had a fire inside it in 1998. It was the biggest fire by volume size ever in the community of Holyoke. So we're going to walk around the block and I'll explain each step of the way what was where. Now the first Perpetual Help Church was down by the Connecticut River on the edge of Pulaski Park, built in 1890 to serve the French Canadian community as the second French language church in Holyoke's history. And this was a gate right here. Okay, and they could come inside to get mass, and the church was right around this area. Okay, now what you're looking at is the school grounds right between here. And notice at the edge of the school grounds you have those pillars. And the convent wouldn't be in the straight area behind it. Okay, and right where this dirt and gravel were was the actual grounds for the church right here. It goes way back, and the very far back would have been a convent. Okay, not much to see anymore, but there are dramatic pictures of it when it had the fire. There's also beautiful pictures of it when it didn't have the fire. So it was quite a gorgeous structure. Okay, at this location here, you have what was the rectory. The rectory was built around the same time, 1925, replacing the rectory that was down by Pulaski Park. The last piece to come in was the convent in 1927. The school actually came here, I believe, first, 1923, because a lot of school children were from this area. The French Canadians were moving up into the Churchill neighborhood instead of in the downtown neighborhood. And you built that first because they saved them a long walk, and they were losing enrollment through the years. Now even the rectory had its main gate, and it would have been right here. This would have led to the front steps of the rectory itself. All right, so a nice little system. Now you notice that along each piece is also the fence is containing apartment complexes that were in this area. Over here was a Knowlton at one time. Down on the far edge was the Cabot. And then diagonally across from here was a double complex of buildings comprised of Ferguson apartment complexes. Up this block, a mere block and a half away, is the Sacred Heart Church, but that was an Irish denomination church. So you got two Catholic churches very close to each other. But that is common. There was a lot of people living up here, and these churches served their communities. This wrought iron fence was around the whole campus, and between there was the start of the convent itself. And the convent had a big convent yard on each side. And I've seen pictures of it. There was a lot of flower beds around it, so it was quite nice. Now this was where the Knowlton was. So the campus took up about, I would say about 70% of the whole city block, formed by Chestnut, Elm, Hampshire, and Cabot Streets. And that is big, because usually these churches, campuses, might take a little bit less than that. This section of wrought iron fence, you can actually see a gate inwards. Look at these wonderful pillars. Okay, and both these gates would have led right into the convent area. Would have been a footpath there. And it has the wall over here that held up more of the wrought iron fence. We're cutting through the apartment area. We would have had in front of us visible the two apartment complexes I told you about, the Ferguson and the Cabot. Those also burned in the fire, and one more building off this block burned in that fire. Okay, now we'll be in the back of what is the school, Perpetual School. So you're going to have to imagine all the school children that would have been out here during the day. And there's the Presbyterian Church and the library. And most of the residents in 1925 were French Canadians, so it really sparked up a French Canadian neighborhood.